Can I say before we begin,
Yeah.
this is a very MIT event.
Okay.
As a non-alum, if you didn't tell me where I was, I would have guessed this is an MIT event.
Okay.
And I don't know.
So hang on.
maybe
Let's
these
probe into that
chairs-
further. Hold on.
Maybe these highly functional chairs.
Oh, good.
It might be, everyone's wearing kind of like the same muted tones. I don't know what it is.
So
no one
did
makes
you
eye contact or
did
like
you
all-
get did you get your MBA from
Don't even bring it up.
where did you go for your MBA?
I did get an MBA at Harvard, but please let me.
So hang on, guys, hang on. Harvard is the greatest university in Harvard Square. So there's no problems at all. Credit where credit is due. Hyper local AI.
This is the most hostile audience I've ever met.
No, we love you. Are you joking? You're applying your intuition to empower
exactly.
humanity.
Exactly.
But let's start by embracing humanity first. So before we get to all the stuff, tell us your journey, your origin story, all the way through YC and applied intuition. Begin at the beginning.
Yeah. So for those who don't know me, my name is Qasar Younis. I've been on the stage many times because YC did demo day here for many, many years,
right.
Probably a decade. So know this venue very well. My very quick background: undergrad at an unknown engineering school called the General Motors Institute, which is what it sounds like. It was for the people who know it, the few. It is kind of like the West Point of automotive. It is an automotive-oriented school, started by General Motors 100 years ago. And I went there, and I thought I was going to do my whole career at General Motors, and like the current CEO is a GMI alum. And then I got some good advice, which was, I was a mechie, but I was doing most of my work in electrical and electronics. That was my
the rail engineering.
Yeah,
Very
really,
nice.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's quaint now.
True. I'm a math guy. I appreciate rail engineers.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I made the very dispassionate move to software. This is 20 years ago, where I thought, hey, what's the future? The future's probably not working in like Flint, in a V6 engine plant. And ultimately started a couple of software companies. Went to grad school, started a couple of software companies. And the second one was acquired by Google, just right next door.
Yes.
And then I was starting at Google at that time was when the self-driving project was beginning. This is early teens. So the project really started in 2009, but really started...
So well before the whole autonomous vehicle craze had...
Well, Google is really the heart of that. Just like the, Transformers, kind of like it was invented at Google, and then it's become an industry into itself. Waymo's obviously playing a major part of it. But originally we were going to do a robotaxi company. My co-founder Peter Ludwig, and I were going to do a robotaxi company. We ultimately concluded it wasn't a good business. This is like 2012, 2013. And I ended up in the process, I was talking to Paul Graham, and I ended up at Y Combinator, and that was a great time. That's when, OpenAI was started, and that's when a lot of great things happened at YC at that time. But most relevantly, Cruise was funded and was acquired by none other than General Motors.
Right.
And my co-founder's father and grandfather also worked at General Motors, so we're all GM people.
Wow.
Kind of refugees out in Mountain View, and so then that started the journey of applied intuition. As folks who don't know applied intuition, we're now a late-stage company, we're a $15 billion company that...
Wait, your recent value is $15 billion?
Yeah, and I think with the more interesting thing than the valuation, because I feel like you can do a seed AI startup now worth $15 billion, is it's been a functioning business for basically the history of the company. We've been cash flow positive for many years, and I think our claim to fame is we preserved 100% of the capital we've ever raised. And we've built, it's a 1,200 person company, it's about 1,000 engineers. So it's a real company, we're really proud of that we could actually build a functioning business.
Yes.
And what we make is, and for the folks who are technical in the audience, kind of the engineering tools in automotive used to be all around vehicle dynamics and control, because that's what automotive was.
Yeah.
When autonomy came in, the tooling just didn't exist. And it existed at Waymo, and some kind of existed at Tesla. We built that for the rest of the industry. In the process, we expanded we have an operating systems business as well. So you think about operating systems on phones and personal computers. For vehicles, they're very different. For cars, trucks, mining equipment, defense equipment, operating systems are very different, and we built that to really abstract hardware and software away, because some of the advantages that you can develop an application today for a phone, and you don't really have to know the underlying hardware. That's not the case if you're working on a commercial truck. Sure. It's very intertwined. So that was our second business, and then of course we do autonomy directly. So we do everything from L4 trucking. We run trucks right now in Japan and the U.S. to SDS is our most recent product, which sounds and is like FSD, I should say, which is an L2++ passenger car system. But that's what the business is, yeah.
So stepping back, for those, the 2 or 3 people who are non-technical here, I'm one. Physical AI, you keep hearing that term. What does that mean to you, right? And then we can get into specifically the automotive side and others, right? So.
Physical AI, I mean, it's really leaving the kind of laptop screens and mobile, mobile devices. So generally, everything is large language models today in terms of what we're consuming as end users. There's lots of business-to-business applications that are different. The next, I think we believe, and I think a lot of people believe, the next kind of big boom is taking AI into the real world.
Okay.
So that's broadly described as physical AI. Our kind of subsector within that, because that can also includes humanoids and robotics and some other things, is on vehicles. So we're a vehicle intelligence company. So any machine that's moving people or goods, that's the area that we focus on. Cars are obvious, but that's actually a minority of our business. We do work on commercial
So
trucks.
cars is about a third of applied. So
it's about,
we think of applied intuition as just cars.
Just the car stuff.
Okay.
It's just because I think everyone's in cars, so you think about cars. But we just recently announced a large relationship with Komatsu, which does mining. They're the #1 mining equipment provider on the planet. I think it's their largest investment in 100-year history, so it's a real engagement in building and automating their equipment. And same thing as in agriculture, you obviously have combines, and so that's another sector. And then in defense, you have both land systems, land vehicles, and things in the air. So we do drones, we do everything from Class A drones to fighter jets, and we're always doing the same thing, which is the tools, the operating systems, and the autonomy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And what is happening, I think, for everyone who's in the industry and who's interested in the industries, is these models are converging. So but not long ago, certainly pre 5 years ago, pre kind of transformer boom, the self-driving truck and the self-driving car were actually different. Even at Waymo, those were different teams.
Okay.
Now, post-transformers and kind of the birth of end-to-end within autonomy specifically, these models are really generalizing. And what that downstream impact is, we were deep believers in kind of a multi-domain model, a model that will work effectively in passenger cars and in trucks and in tanks and in mining rigs and in combines, really all over. It is the sensing, thinking, and acting models that exist physically on machines, and that's a super exciting area. Unlike, I think, and it's not to bag on anyone working in humanoids or kind of that area of robotics. Vehicles already exist; they're in the real world. So you can retrofit and augment these machines and bring a lot of intelligence to them without a completely new form factor and kind of solving some of the mechanical and electrical problems that some robotic industries still have.
Very interesting. So obviously when it comes to FSD and autonomy, Tesla is kind of considered kind of the leader. And I just bought a Rivian for obvious reasons.
Unfortunately, it doesn't have
obvious reasons,
a lot of autonomy.
But it doesn't have that, right?
Yeah.
So are you trying to take the auto industry and bring it to where is applied intuition today compared to, say, the gold standard, right?
Yeah, I think so. In some ways, sometimes people describe us as like Tesla without the car. Like we build all the technology and we distribute it to the industry. I think let's just talk just for a few minutes, because self-driving is, if you're in San Francisco or even if you're visiting, you'll see it around. So it is worth talking a little bit lower level. So you have the Waymo L4 kind of approach, the robotaxi approach. You have the Tesla. And the best version of just kind of separating those is there a driver in the front seat, behind the steering wheel, or not? Yeah. That's just rather than going into SAE levels. The other kind of big areas, China is also playing in this ecosystem. And we'll talk about that in 30 seconds. The key question really right now in the industry is, will Waymo geographically expand faster than Tesla's models will perform better? So Tesla's approach is a very generalizable approach. So that's why they launched in all of the Bay Area immediately right after they launched in Austin. They're launching in other states very, very quickly. Right. Whereas Waymo, it takes them, 3 to 6 months to basically launch in a city. It is geographically constrained, and there's a bunch of reasons for that.
Sure.
So the real question is, well, what happens first? Does Waymo become ubiquitous, or does Tesla become ubiquitous? I think they're two different ultimately use cases. If I had to pick, I would say that the kind of Tesla end-to-end approach is more promising, mainly because the Waymo approach is much safer, mainly because it's cheaper. And that'll lead to kind of personally owned autonomy in a way that I think everyone in the room is, if you could go out and buy a personally owned fully self-driving vehicle, like truly fully self-driving, not in marketing terms, there's a real willingness to pay for that in a real way. And that's just not really, the Waymo is really not capable of doing that in the way that they've developed their systems. In China, there's less dogma, and whether dogma is safety or whether the dogma is cost, there's less dogma, and there is a much more diversity of implementation, and there are companies that have basically taken the middle path between Tesla and Waymo, which is slightly more censored, slightly more expensive, but getting a lot more performance and using modern architectures. And I think that's something that we as in everyone should keep and pay attention to. So it certainly informs applied in our strategy.
Really, so how do you see, like with BYD and all that, where is their technology today?
Yeah, so that's an hour-long conversation in itself. The short version of it, and I say the China ecosystem, broadly speaking, the thing that you have to remember, because there is a little bit of like, you either say, people get to this view that like everything in China is amazing and we are done and we should just, wrap up, or like, they're completely just copying everything and it's a complete kind of derivative ecosystem.
Okay.
The truth is somewhere in the middle. The most, I would say, important thing is the 150 EV companies in China.
150 EV companies in China.
Nobody makes money. And they're just not functioning businesses. That matters.
Sure.
Even companies that are more mature and famous, just the way that we look at businesses, we don't subsidize electricity, we don't subsidize land, we don't subsidize employee costs. We, as in the U.S. government, doesn't do that. That actually impacts the business. That's not to take away from the fact that the technical innovations are actually impressive. The real trick, and the reason I'm more, I said Tesla, I think, has an interesting approach, is the real trick is how do you get this technology generally available and as a functioning business, I think all of us, and this is, for the founders in the audience, kind of putting my YC hat on, I think the era of AI we're in right now is just, it's just so forgetting the fundamentals of business, and you need that. Ultimately, these need to be functioning, sustaining, organizations. And just so we're all on the same page, a business's revenue minus expenses equals profits.
Harvard.
That's my Harvard business
and MIT
school.
together.
That's what I learned.
Yes.
That's what I learned.
We won't end on that note. We have 30 seconds, but just last.
I think we're getting.
Oh, I know. But any last word of advice for
founders,
for the AI trailblazers here? Any last thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is Aparna's going to hate me for saying this. Don't work at Microsoft or Google right now.
Hot take. Oh no,
we work together.
Aparna, that was definitely Harvard. MIT had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, we work together. We work together before.
All right.
Be nerd fights.
Well, I'm going to check if she's blocked me on LinkedIn afterwards.
On that prophetic note, please give a huge round of applause to Qasar Younis. Thank you. Well done, Qasar. Cheers, man.